And we're starting. So, big welcome to everyone here. I'm Dr. Paul Newton, and with me is Bob Burnham. We are here to present our webinar to you on how to write and publish your money-making expert book in 40 days and grow your business without selling a single book. So, Bob, you want to say hi to everyone here?
Yeah, I want to say hi, and I'm excited to be here today. I think we've got a great webinar, and we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit more extensively in a few minutes, but for now, we're just going to get right to it. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah, so let's just get this thing rolling here. And what's our promise today? Well, hang out with us, and we are going to tell you how to be the leading expert in your field and activate multiple hidden streams of income by joining the ranks of published author. And this webinar, the content of this webinar is really for coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs, people who actually have a business right now and just want to see how they can take it right into the next level with a book by becoming a published author. And when you have a business, there's all these hidden income streams, and you won't know about them until you actually get into this model and get them producing for you when you have your book published. So it's really exciting, and I can't wait to share this stuff with you. And I just want to invite you to hang out with us until the end of this webinar. We're going to be on with you for about, say, 75 minutes, and we're going to be sharing a ton of content. So make sure you have your pen and paper ready, and just shut down Facebook, turn your phone to silent, and just stay focused with us, because we are going to be dropping some real gems, things that are going to really just get your business working at a new level, even starting from today. So you're going to want to pay close attention, because Bob has some real gems that he has picked up along the years, just in the publishing industry and as an entrepreneur as well. So we have at the end of this webinar, we have our top 10 ways that you can make money with your book. And these are the hidden income streams that you can activate. And we'll be giving you that in an infographic. And I'll show you how to get that towards the end of this webinar. So I have some questions for you. And for those of you who are participating with us, first thing, have you written a book? Because there's always some authors out there. And, if you are one of them, congratulations, because that is such a big step and a real accomplishment, and you are to be commended on that. If you do have a book out there, are you happy with the profits? How much money is that actually bringing in for you? Are you able to live off of being an author, or are you having to do something else as well? And then finally, what's in your way of writing a book that grows your business? That's for everybody else out there, or for anyone who has a book and it's just not performing the way that they want it to be. What kind of barriers are there to you having your own book in your hands that makes you that celebrated author? So there's a lot of things that can really can get in our way of writing a book, and just really some big obstacles, and we hear them all the time. People saying things like, "This book needs to be perfect," and I'm just not there yet. For all you perfectionists out there, and then well, I'm worried about what my peers would think. I'll be judged if I say what I think in my book. And how do I get published and into the bookstores? That's a biggie. You see all those books out there on the shelves, and you wonder how you can become one of the books among them. How do I find a publisher? It's a really big concern for a lot of people that want to be authors. And a lot of people just think, I can't write. Maybe I failed grade 12 English or something, or what have you. And I guarantee you, even if you don't write well, you can be an author, and your book won't suck. And I don't have any special talents or skills to write about in a book. And you know what? More often than not, we overlook these things. What if it doesn't sell? It's too big a project for me to take on right now. And I'm waiting until I have some time to write some of my thoughts down. And just let me tell you, that time just never seems to come along. So, maybe you've been waiting to write your book for years. Well, if you keep waiting for this time to show up, it'll be more years until that book is done. The whole thing is just too overwhelming. It's so common. We're already in a state of overwhelm all the time, and adding a project of this magnitude can just really, take us over the edge. And the list just goes on and on and on. So, maybe you have your own personal reason and you want to jot it down, because hopefully we can bust through that. So, most people, they have this sort of, the dream of being an aspiring author, and they think, well, I'll just write a proposal and I'll find a publisher like Penguin, and then I'll get that advance on my royalties so I can like spend some time writing and still feed myself. And I'll write it, and then I'll get published, and I'll do a book tour, and then the royalties will start flowing in, and life will be good. And it just doesn't really work that way, and I really hate to burst your bubble, but Bob, why don't you tell everyone about our mentor and our client?
Yeah, sure, Paul. Our mentor is Lisa Sasevich, and she has been for quite a few years now, both Paul and I. And if you don't know who Lisa Sasevich is, she mentors people like John Assaraf, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Robert Allen. She actually mentors some of the top self-help development people on the face of the planet. So sometimes her name isn't that known to the general public, but she's known in the world of self-development, and she's known as the mentor to the self-development people. And she's really, really good at what she does. And she wanted to actually publish a book, and she had a book that did actually get published, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But she first started approaching publishers, and she was turned down left, right, and center. Traditional publishers, she was just getting no traction at all. And for a gal like Lisa Sasevich to not get traction, it's really quite amazing when you think about it, because she actually had a platform. And what I mean by a platform is she had a reach of about 1 million people following her. So if she put that book out to the public, there's the likelihood she has a reach of 1 million people, and she's going to sell a lot of books. But the fact of the matter is, even though she had 1 million following, or the reach of 1 million following, she had a great book. Even Lisa Sasevich, with her high profile and who she was, she actually had a hard time getting a traditional publisher, because it's just so tough, the traditional publishing route. But having said that, there's always blessings in closed doors, as long as you don't focus on the closed doors. And of course, Lisa didn't focus on the closed doors, and neither do we, Paul? And she came up with a different alternative, and she came up with a great idea, and that was thankfully through myself. And we're going to tell you what that great idea is a little bit later in the call, so hang in there. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Lisa, Paul? Or?
No, it's just amazing that you think that 1 million people is a big reach, and the publishers just don't think so.
Well, the thing is, the publishers will take a risk, but they take a calculated risk. And what that means is if they think they're going to make money, they'll publish you. But the fact of the matter is, it's got to be really convincing that they're going to make money before they'll put their money on the table. And the reality is, there's some real big barriers to making it as an author. Some of them are real big barriers, that are real walls and obstacles, and a lot of them are in our heads. And we fight with ourselves more often than we fight with these actual barriers. But there's a lot of things you go through when you want to get your book published. But we're going to talk about how to get around these particular barriers today. So we're going to talk about the fact that there's 7 billion people on the planet, and only 500,000 books are published each year. So think about that. 7 billion on the planet, 500,000 books are published each year. So when you start breaking down those numbers, that means less than 1 in 25,000 people ever actually write a book. So when you think in those terms, for you to be able to stand out in the crowd, it's pretty easy, because all of a sudden there's just not that many people doing what we're talking about today. Even in today's world, not that many people are using a strategy that is so damn powerful. So that's why I get so passionate about it, and that's why Paul's passionate about it is because it's a strategy that really works to position yourself as an author. And even in today's society, not too many people are taking advantage of it. And even though I say it's overwhelming, there's definitely ways that we can make it very, very easy for you to move forward. And we're going to talk about some of those.
Yeah, and just in case you're doing the math and dividing 7 billion by 500,000, I think we had just sort of massaged those figures a little because some people publish multiple books, and how did you figure that one, Bob?
Well, we basically just divided 500,000 into 7 billion. But you are absolutely right. There's a lot of people that are doing multiple books. There's a lot of people that might do 10 books. There's just publishing companies that just produce certain niches of books. So, you know, when you really, really think about it, probably that 1 in 25,000 in actuality of the population is probably even less than 1 in 50,000 people that actually write a book. And think about this. This is per year, 1 in 50,000 people. So I mean, literally, it's almost like, you know, you probably have a better chance of actually meeting somebody that's won a lottery than you do in meeting a published author. And the neat thing about it is to take advantage of this is just it's just a great strategy.
Yeah, and this is something that that a lot of people don't understand either about publishing, Bob.
Yeah, because the traditional publishing industry, like I say, it really has evolved over the last, you know, I would say 10 years. It's really downsized in a lot of ways. There used to be a lot of publishers. Now there's really only, you know, 4 or 5 big publishers. And like I was saying, they will take a risk, but they only take a calculated risk. So if they know that the book is going to sell, if they know that you've already got a following, if they know that their risk is really, you know, not going to be that much of a risk for them, if they know that you have an incredible book, then you can start, you know, really connecting with a publisher. But, you know, in actuality, for most of us, we have a better chance of growing a third eye, being struck by lightning in that third eye within the next 15 minutes than we do of getting a traditional publishing agreement. But, you know, that's not necessarily the bad news. It could be the good news because there's ways that we can actually get around that, and there's ways we can turn that from a closed door into an opportunity.
And if getting published wasn't hard enough, you know, it really can be quite disheartening to know this next fact here, Bob.
Yeah, and of course the next fact is the average author makes less than $500 a year. And Paul, I know you put this slide together. The stats I have actually is most authors, in fact about 95%, make less than $99 a year. So the $500 is probably on the high side. And you know, it's because they really focus on the wrong areas. And that's one thing we help our authors with is we make sure that they focus on the right areas with their books because we don't want our authors to struggle when it's just not necessary. And we see so many authors, even best-selling authors, who even sell, you know, quite a few books, they still struggle financially because they live on royalties. And this isn't necessarily the best route to go. So we have, you know, come up with ways and strategies that you can take this book to really maximize your income. And we've been teaching it to a lot of different entrepreneurs, coaches, and speakers. I've been teaching it probably for about 8 or 9 years, and Paul has joined us over the past about year and a half.
Yeah, and just to get people started on the right track, for this webinar, we actually have a couple of free bonuses for you, and you know, one being that 10 ways to make money with your book. But the other thing that we have is we have some time that you can book with us, and it's a really get it done, activate your multiple streams of income session with us. And it's just it's a free session where you can get on the phone with us, and it's worth $500 and a lot more if you put it in action. But we can get people started on the right track, so they're focusing on the right numbers right away. And that just you know, when you get into this writing your book with that in your mind and you're focusing on the right numbers from the start, it can make this process so much easier.
Yeah, and we love to help that way because, you know, a lot of the times tackling this on your own can be absolutely overwhelming. There's just so many different areas where you can get caught up, and it definitely can be an overwhelmed situation if you don't know how to manage the path and get through, all the different obstacles to make yourself look good and position yourself as an expert author. So anybody that does want to take time to talk with Paul and myself, we would love to spend some time with you and show you that not only have we done it and our clients have done it, but you can do it too. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the call. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah, we are. And I just want to reassure you guys, there's so many things that are involved in this publishing process, the writing and publishing process. There's a lot of moving parts. And, we're probably going to throw a lot of information your way, things you've never thought of or heard of. But don't worry, we'll make sure you get it all down, and we'll make sure that you have the opportunity to start on the right track and figure it out how it's going to work for you. So, Bob, why don't you tell us a little about where you come from?
Yeah, we've both been blabbing away here a little bit, and I'm sure some of you already know me, but for the people that don't know me, yes, I am Bob Burnham, and I'm the author of multiple #1 Amazon best-selling books. I think I'm up to approximately 9 or 10 #1 best-selling books. I'm an international speaker. I've spoken all over the world, but it wasn't always that way for me. I originally started a fire and flood restoration company. Actually, somebody phoned me the other day and they said it's been 40 years. And I didn't realize that. And I checked, and it's about 39 years, almost 40 years, when I started my fire and flood restoration company. And I built that up to 26 locations across Canada. And we had, at the highest point, about 600 full and part-time employees. And it was a type of business that was very lucrative, and I really enjoyed that part of the process. But the part that I didn't really enjoy was the whole idea of flying from office to office, and I couldn't fly home every night. So, I was away from my family, and soon after a while, I really actually started really disliking airports. I really liked the money. Actually, the company I had made about $30 million before I was 30 years old. And back when I was 30 years old, $30 million was actually a lot of money. I guess it probably still is today. But, I'm sure a lot of you know that, money isn't necessarily, going to keep you happy in your position. Money is great. It's important, and that's how we all thrive on this physical plane. But I really wanted to start looking at, a business plan where I could still make the same type of money I'm used to, but not fly from office to office and be away from my family. Because you'll see here, I've got 3 beautiful daughters, and they're all into dance. And I knew that I was going to miss seeing them growing up. And if you look at the screen here, I've got 3 dancers. And the oldest one on the right side is Shay. She's 29 now. And the middle one, that's Sky. She was born on Christmas Eve 12 years ago. And the one on the left is Lex, and she's 19 years old. She was actually in a movie called The Uninvited, a Steven Spielberg movie, when she was 12. But I really wanted to see these girls grow up. So I started, like I say, looking for these different business models where I could, I enjoyed it. Like I say, some people enjoy the fire and flood restoration business, and all the power to them. I just didn't like the fact of being away from that. I still have an attitude, like I say, when I go into the airports. There's something about as soon as I get into an airport, I just get a bad attitude. If I'm going on a vacation, I'm okay, but if I have to go to an airport for business and it's a business trip, I still have that bad taste in my mouth. But anyhow, I started looking at different models, and it's really interesting. I'm starting to think, well, what do I love doing? And I thought, well, I love reading books. I used to read approximately between 1 and 5 books a week, and I'm thinking, well, how can I make money reading books? And when I came up with the idea is writing, publishing, selling my information. It's quite interesting because one of the things I did in the fire and flood restoration business as well is I wrote a book, and it was called How to Make $1 Million in Your Home Service Business. And what I did with that particular book was position myself in my particular industry to attract more leads and more customers in that business. And it worked really well. As a matter of fact, it worked so well. I had a lot of entrepreneurs and competitors and people that knew me said, man, your book's really working well to, help you attract, customers. Can you help me with that? And that was sort of the impetus of making me think that writing, publishing, and selling my information was probably the route to go because it worked so well. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the last, I guess, probably 8 or 9 years. And the money's been fantastic, and I love sharing it with other people because it's one strategy that works. It's a timeless strategy. There's a lot of things on the internet where, as Paul likes to say, they have a half shelf life. They don't last very long before they burn out. But with positioning yourself and writing a book and building your business, it's something that has worked for many, many years, and it'll work for many, many years more. So that's enough about me. So Paul, maybe you could tell them a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Bob. So I'm Dr. Paul, and I'm a chiropractor. That's the kind of doctor I am. And I've been a chiropractor for 19 years. I sold that business about 3 years ago now, but I had built 2 offices into the multiple 6-figure range. And the way that I got my office up and running and did it really quickly was by speaking, and by speaking to the right audience and offering them free consultation. I could use I could really attract clients and get them to generate high-end leads. And Bob, we're just going to we're having a few technical difficulties here because it's not streaming to the page, and I'm going to see if we can log in as a different page and continue this, or maybe start over. So I know that's a little bit of a hassle, but nobody's seeing this. All right, so let's see what we can do here.
Can you hear us?